Hello NBA fans and welcome back to another episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series here on the NBA, the week that was. Today will be the 19th episode of the series and we will be analyzing the New Orleans Pelicans and what went well for them this year and what could be worked on moving forward, as well as how I think they'll be doing in Orlando. So without further ado, let's get right into the 19th episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series here on the NBA, the week that was. This year, New Orleans was meant to be the year of Zion Williamson. They had got the famed first-round pick, who's arguably one of the most hyped-up prospects of all time. However, unfortunately, he suffered a meniscus injury in the preseason and was forced to sit out the first 3 or 4 months of the season. However, in those months, the Pelicans really found some players that can move forward with them as they develop into contenders in the West. I want to start off by talking about the emergence of Brandon Ingram as an all-star in this league. He was drafted with the second pick in the 2016 draft. However, he never really lived up to the expectations in LA. First, he was just young. He needed to get adjusted to the NBA. And then after that, LeBron came. So he never really had that time to really show his scoring talent. He's not really a good off-the-ball shooter. He's greater with on the ball, just, slashing in with his length and just really finishing around the rim, but also pulling up for some great mid-range shots. However, in New Orleans, when he was given the range to run the offense without Zion there, he was really able to develop and emerge as a great scorer. He developed his three-point shot and just refined his offensive game to be more efficient, yet effective at the same time. He averaged around 23-24 points this season and was the main option for the Pelicans this year before Zion arrived. Another player I want to point out for the Pelicans is Lonzo Ball. Again, Lonzo Ball was another number 2 pick in LA who didn't really live up to the hype, especially because of the way LeVar Ball, his father, really hyped him up to be that next Steph Curry. No one really saw that from Lonzo in LA, and not at all, in fact. His jump shot looked horrible, and he just looked out of sorts. However, now in New Orleans, he really emerged into what he's going to end up being in the NBA. A great playmaking point guard who can lock down the best guards on offense. He has great size and length at the point guard position, which helps his case on the defensive end. And he's always had outstanding playmaking vision, which was seen before Zion. However, after Zion, it was really seen how Lonzo Ball can be a great player in the NBA due to his passing vision. They also had some great role players, and overall their starting lineup was what made the Pelicans so good, especially after Zion arrived. The lineup of Lonzo, Holiday, Ingram, Derek Favors, and Zion Williamson was crushing defenses on the offensive end. However, they were also able to lock down on defense, given the ability of Derek Favors to act as an anchor in the paint, Zion's just insane athleticism, Brandon Ingram's length, and Holiday and Lonzo Ball's lockdown abilities. So overall, that lineup of the Pelicans, that starting lineup, is a great starting lineup for the next 2 to 3 years, as long as they keep Holiday and Favors. Let's talk about Holiday and Favors. Holiday has always been a great playmaking point guard who has great defensive chops and a great three-point shot. And this year, without Anthony Davis, he continued his role as the veteran presence on this team. Derek Favors has always been a great rim-rolling center for the Utah Jazz and really got a better role because he wasn't behind Rudy Gobert or before that Paul Millsap. So he really was able to play to his strengths as a rebounding and post-scoring big. Now let's talk about Zion. In the few games that Zion played 20 games after he came back from his injury, the Pelicans went 11-9, so he had an instant impact on the team. In his 20 games, the 19-year-old was averaging 22 points and 9 rebounds a game. Those were unheard of numbers in such a small sample size for such a young player. He was just playing like he did in Duke, bullying big man down in the paint. Despite being undersized height-wise, he's one of the heaviest players in the NBA and was just able to bully players down there in the paint with his size. He had an instant impact, especially with Lonzo, developing a great chemistry with alley-oops and just, that 1-2 punch that they bring to the Pelicans. So overall, Zion gave them really good hopes, and everyone knew that Zion oozes with potential. That athleticism at such a small size, just overall, he's a physical specimen who, if developed right, can become one of the best players in the NBA. So let's talk about Orlando. I feel that, currently the Pelicans sit at the 9th seed, and I feel that they have a chance of forcing a play-in tournament or in fact stealing that 8th seed from the Memphis Grizzlies. the Pelicans really, you know, they have their people now. They have that starting lineup who's rested and ready to go in Orlando. And I feel that while they might make the play-in tournament and they might make the 8th seed, they're obviously going to give LeBron and the Lakers a fight from the 1st seed, but they aren't going to win. It's too young, and LeBron, as I've said in multiple videos, is just on a tear, ready to win his next championship. But I feel this is a good step forward for the Pelicans. And the point where they were rebuilding, they already made the playoffs, which is always great for a team. So overall, the Pelicans have had some good moments this year, and they should look forward to great years in the future with such a young and exciting core. However, there is one thing I want to point out for the Pelicans team that needs to improve moving forward. Despite the great play by the starters such as Holiday, Ingram, Zion, Derek Favors, and Lonzo Ball, their bench was very underwhelming, which is not good for a team that has contending hopes. While they had some great young prospects, such as Josh Hart, who they acquired from the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's a great shooting guard they drafted, and Jackson Hayes, another center they drafted with the 10th pick, they really were underwhelming and didn't support the offense or defense off the bench. They each had their individual nights where they played well, but overall as a collective, their young core off the bench didn't play nearly as well as their starters did, which really let down the efforts of the starters. They also had some veterans such as JJ Redick, who, he had, again, his nights. Some nights he would start and play really well as, that three-point shooter that we know and love. But sometimes off the bench, he would be very underwhelming, and just the bench play of the New Orleans Pelicans really struggled this year. So either they have to figure out a way to, either develop these guys, the young guys, Hayes, Hart, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, to the next level, and check Diallo as well. Or they have to, focus on acquiring new talent from the draft or off free agency to really bolster their bench. Because, as I said, every championship team requires some sort of depth. And while the Pelicans have the potential to have depth with their young guys, it really isn't showing right now. So something moving forward for the Pelicans is just to improve their bench situation and overall develop their young guys to continue making the steps to being contenders from the West. And with that, I would like to wrap up the 19th episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series here on the NBA, the week that was. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below and subscribe if you're new as well with notifications on. If you have any feedback for me, good or bad, I always love to hear in the comment section down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series here on the NBA, the week that was. See ya.